Well, hey, you guys, welcome to another episode of Simple Business Stewardship. My name is Lauren Rilling. I'm your fractional CFO, and today we're talking about what is success? How do we define success for ourselves as Christian entrepreneurs? And how do we make sure that our financial decisions are aligned in a way that is going to support us and be that fuel to get us where we want to go? So, I have a few thoughts on this because success can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And I think that's totally fair. But when we're talking about success from a biblical perspective, we have to be so careful to put this discussion in context. And so I think that there are two ways to talk about success. One is the biblical definition, this overarching idea of this existential discussion of what is my purpose and how do I know if I'm being successful, right? And so, simply put, success is obedience to God. Success is walking out the calling that He has placed on your life. And that is going to look different in different seasons. So, this is not a stagnant thing, but the way that we define success is simply what does God want me to do today? How can I make sure that I'm obedient to God in my thoughts and my actions, in the way I'm treating other people, in the way that I'm working diligently? And that is the same for everybody. So, in that sense of the word, we always want to put that first and have that be the definition that contextualizes every other aspect of our life. And so, that being said, though, success in terms of entrepreneurship, yes, we want to be faithful to what God has given us to do on this earth. And I think, though, we can often get caught up in really more of a humanistic definition of success, which is you need to fulfill a calling. And I just keep going back to the scripture that says, He who began a good work in you will be faithful to complete it in Christ Jesus. And so it really just like takes all the pressure off in one sense, right? In one way, it's motivating because wow, how exciting. Like I get to do A, B, and C today. Like I woke up, God gave me an assignment, and I'm so excited to get after it and go do the work that He's given me to do. And at the same time, the ultimate end result is not our responsibility. So sort of like pressure's off, and at the same time, it should motivate us to achieve at an even greater level. So it's one of those both ands where you just get to experience this freedom. And so success, if it's obedience to God, then we get to choose to be successful every day, right? And trust that He will be faithful to complete the work in us that He's already started. Now, on a different level, sort of within that context, we are business owners, we are entrepreneurs, we have very real goals and targets and metrics, and that doesn't have to be at odds with obedience to God. In fact, they should be compatible. Like if there's a disconnect, then we need to explore that, right? But success is going to look different for different people. And so what I really strive to do as a fractional CFO is to honor the individualization of success, of creating a unique definition and creating that clear vision and supporting my clients in that pursuit, because it's not going to look the same for everybody. In fact, every single person's definition of success is and should be different. And it will even change with your business and with your season of life. To give you an example, when I started my coaching business, I was like, this is just going to be a side thing. I say just, but I said it's going to be a side thing. It was really important to me to create really clear time boundaries around when I was working and when I was with my kids. And a prospective client asked me about this the other day. She was like, how do you do that? Like, how do you, like, wow, you must be so busy. And like, I mean, yeah, I am. I mean, like anyone else, but I have been really intentional about carving out that margin, about looking at the week and going, okay, if I add this one extra thing, that's going to be way too much. So I'm going to say no to this because I have certain boundaries that I've put in my work and in my personal life. For instance, I try to make sure that My client facing work is done when my children are already going to be out of the house as much as possible. Summertime, summer gets a little tricky, but as much as possible, I try to schedule those things for when they're going to be at school because I want to show up 100% for my clients. And then same thing with like after 3:30, through dinner time, like I'm at home with my family. I'm not working, I'm not checking email, I'm not doing other stuff because I want to be there when my kids come home from school. I want to get them a snack. I want to help them with their homework. I want to say, how is your day? What's going on in your life? All of those things. And I want to create that rhythm. I want to make dinner for my family and have family dinners. And I want to go to community group with my church. And I want to take my kids to, their gymnastics, like all of those things. I'm going to protect that by scheduling my time in a certain way. So that is really what defines my ideal time goal. You may have heard me talk about creating your ideal time goal, your ideal, income goal, and then your impact goal. So for me, that's what my ideal schedule looks like right now. Now that might mean that I'm checking emails at 9 o'clock on a Tuesday, 9 p.m. And I'm okay with that right now. Like as long as I'm not up till midnight, I don't mind checking my emails to make sure that I'm being timely responding to my clients because I have chosen to say no to certain days of the week and certain hours of the week, right? So it's a trade-off. Now, that may change as they get older. I might say, okay, the season of life has changed and I am not checking my email after 5 p.m., right? And that would be a new time goal to put in place so that I can just shut off work totally at 5 p.m. every day. So your ideal schedule is going to look different from everyone else's. And it's something that you really want to reevaluate once every year, maybe even twice a year, once if there's a big change in your family or in your season of life, then that's a good thing to reevaluate. Another goal, as mentioned, your income. This was a conversation that I had yesterday with a prospective client, and they said, we really want to buy a house. We really want to increase our own salary. But we also want to do these other things in the business that may compete with our ability to do that. So we had to dig into and will continue to dig into why and what needs to take priority. Because if you want to buy a house, you have to show a certain amount of profit on your tax return. And if you want to pick up more investors, or you are going to take out a loan, or your model isn't going to really necessarily drive profitability because you'd rather grow your operations or develop new products or something like that, and that's going to lengthen the amount of time before you can show a profit on your tax return. Well, you've got some choices to make, right? About the way that you're going to grow, about your speed of growth and scalability in your business, about, do we want to put these personal goals on hold, or do we want the business to serve these personal goals now? How much income do we want to take home versus how much do we want to reinvest in the growth of our business? So that's why it's so important to have an ultra clear definition of success, because that is going to be the driving factor around which we make other decisions regarding the finances. So if you are growing and you're like, whoa, my profit margins are growing too, like this is great. Well, do you want to give yourself a raise and just sort of keep going, which is perfectly fine? Do you want to keep your income a little bit lower and use some more of that profit to invest in the growth of your company? There's not a right or wrong answer to this. It just depends on what your goals are, what your definition of success is. And the reason this is so important is that it's so easy to get caught in this comparison game where we look at what other people are doing or what we think they're doing. But really, it's just like a lot of it can be illusion, you guys, for real. So please do not compare your business and what you think your business should be doing based on what you think someone else is doing in their company. Like, that's not a good way to make decisions. Get ultra clear on what your definition of success is, and then be relentless about putting those blinders on and sticking to it. Now, yes, we balance that by saying it's good to know what are the industry averages. It's good to know what your competitors are kind of up to. so that you have a little bit of a context and something to kind of work with, but it's not, but we don't use those to say, oh, well, if other people are doing this, this is what you should also be doing. No, we start with your goals and then work around. Therefore, if this is what you want your life to look like, if this is what you want your business to be doing, we want to create harmony between those things. And yes, there's going to be hard decisions to make. There are going to be decisions about what takes priority. What do you want most? And in what order? But then once we know what those things are, then we stick to that and we don't go back and forth. We don't want to be wishy-washy about it. We want to be decisive and we want to say, I have confidence in what my definition of success is, and I'm going to stay focused on that, and that my financial decisions are going to align with that. I'll give you one more story before we wrap it up for today. I was listening to the EntreLeadership podcast, which Dave Ramsey now hosts, and I love it. And he was talking to an owner of a mechanic shop, husband-wife team, and they had 2 bays for doing their mechanic work. And they said, we're really at our max. We can't make any more money in terms of revenue until we build out more bays. Like, what a great problem to have, right? This is a good challenge to have in business. So what they were wondering is, should we take out a loan so that we can build that 3rd and 4th bay? And then that way we know the business is there, right? Well, if you know Dave Ramsey, you probably already know his answer. But he said, no, don't take out any debt, like cash flow the thing. But what he did, which I loved, is he actually walked her through the process. So you could take out a couple $100,000. If it's going to cost you a couple $100,000, you could take out a loan. It's going to eat up this much of your monthly cash flow to pay back. You're going to have to do this much more in business to make up for it. And you just got out of debt and you're going back into debt. So that's like not great financially for your company, but it is one way to grow. And presumably, if everything works out, then you will have, you'll get that profit back once you're done paying off that loan. An alternative is, if you can keep your income lower, like I think it was $4,000 a month that they needed to live on. She's like, yeah, we can totally do that. We have enough profit where we could save for to build that next bay, and it would cost us a couple $100,000. How fast can we save up for that? Oh, we can save up for that in about 18 months. And so what he did was he helped her evaluate what's more important to me right now. What does success look like for me 2 years from now? And what is going to be the optimal way to navigate that? So she really was able to see an apples to apples comparison of, if I take out this loan, then this is where I'm going to be in 2 years. If I don't take out this loan and I cash flow this thing with our profit, then this is where I'm going to be in 2 years. And it was a very clear answer that cash flowing the expansion of their business was much preferable. It allowed them, they were still able to, they had enough to live on. They were going at the speed of cash, so they weren't taking out unnecessary risk on their business. It gave them flexibility. It really did not slow them down the way that they thought it would. Now, if they had said, I'm trying to think of a scenario in which it would make sense for them to take out a loan. That's kind of hard to do. But basically, you've got to assess the pros and cons and bring it back to, okay, but at the end of the day, what am I really trying to accomplish here? And simplify it, boil it down to what that is, and then what's the best way to get there. All right, you guys, I hope this has been insightful, helpful for you today. Setting goals, getting clear on what those are and what needs to happen financially in order to get there. That's module 1 of my course, Entrepreneur's Profit Playbook. So if you haven't already checked that out, check that out. If your company is above $500,000 in revenue, then probably the course is going to be a little oversimplified in terms of like your unique, like different pieces that are moving. And so fractional CFO working one-on-one is going to be a more appropriate solution for you. So reach out with any questions. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this discussion of success, on what that means to be obedient to God and to be successful as an entrepreneur. I believe those things are 100% compatible when we have the right framework for understanding what that means. So hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in the next episode.